Okay. Yeah. So, man, I must have been like 16, 17 years old, something like that. And it's a weird thing because when, people talk about their calling story, it's not like this shroud of cloud with God in the middle, descending from the sky moment. It's more so this consistent feeling in the pit of my stomach, along with several moments of clarity, like other people who I haven't really discussed it with are also pushing me in that direction. Now, while I was at a Christian academy and all of those things, I don't think I would have considered myself a devout Christian. So I never saw myself as a pastor. So the fact that they're coming to me as like, yo, you should probably was a little bit off at first. But several people, including my religion teacher, throughout that year, so that's like junior year leading into senior year, I'm having several moments, several conversations with different people that's just kind of nudging me down that road. And it wasn't until I accepted it that that feeling went away, and then there was peace. And so from that moment on, it's like, okay, here's where I'm going. Because originally I wanted to be an architect, and then I ended up in ministry. So a departure, going from science to art. Yeah, it has its own science, but yeah, that's it. Okay, so I mentioned my religion teacher, Andrew Pileggi. He's now a chaplain at Oakwood University. So he was the first person that I met occupying a role as a spiritual leader that didn't feel, and I'm gonna use this word very gently, but stuffy. Like he was young. He was, I mean, old enough to be my teacher, right? But he carried himself with like a certain level of respect, but also he was relatable. So I felt like, okay, well, I don't have to be this super, serious person that didn't. A lot of the pastors at that time gave off the illusion that they were super holy and unapproachable. And I couldn't see myself as that. So he was one of the first people that showed me that you can be serious about God and be a normal person. Then at that moment in time, Pastor Paul Graham was a major pastor in the New York City area. Now he's in Maryland. And he had the same effect where you can be yourself, your authentic self, and not have this pastoral voice. Didn't need all of that. You can present yourself authentically with all of your humor and all of that and still, be a pastor. And so there were the early influencers. Then throughout my time in college, I met so many different people. And I say meet, a lot of it was just I heard like sermons or interactions with different, I would consider kind of my Mount Rushmore individuals. I don't know if you want preachers, you want me to drop names, or I don't. I can give names, but there's a growing list of people and some of my peers that have influenced me. People who were years ahead of me, like Dr. Henry Wright, who pastored now in this area that I'm in. Um, the pastor of the church, of the campus church at Oakwood University, was Dr. Craig Newborn. He taught me the power of series preaching and like using words to paint pictures. Like, he was a storyteller, and he would have these like 10-part series, and it was amazing. We tuned in. And there were several other preachers, Dr. Doggett, who was my professor as well, and so many other folks. I would have to. That's a whole separate video. But there are a lot of influencers along the way. A lot of sources, a lot of places that I pull from for inspiration, even now that I still listen to. And so there were a lot of people along my path, and continue to be along my path of being a pastor. Yeah. First one is an identity issue. Like, like I said, I didn't see myself as a pastor. And a lot now in my school, like I said, I went to a Christian academy. There were some folks who were serious about ministry and are in ministry still, and they carried themselves in that way, right? So, like, you knew that these were men of God, even at 15, 16 years old, and they had their Bibles in their hand at all times. And, there were those guys. They were separate from the rest of us, right? Yeah, we were cool with them, but you knew that they weren't going to get involved in the foolishness that we were doing at that moment in time. I was still playing ball. I'm active. I'm out there, and so I couldn't see myself in that role. So that's the first roadblock. Then you got going to college, being before college, even then having identity issues because you're seeing people who are fully bought in, and I'm still wondering if this role fits me. And honestly, that would be the constant theme. That's the major theme that took me years to undo, was embracing the fact that God called me to be myself and authentically myself while also calling me to care for his people, and that I didn't need to transform into someone else in order for me to be effective. And so just embracing that journey has been its own separate battles in the war, so yeah, that's some, I mean, it's a lot of journeys, a lot of different battles. Yeah.